And we'll be finding out who that team is tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. These matches today are to see who can enter into that match to see if they qualify for BlizzCon. And to find out who the rest of the teams qualifying for BlizzCon are, then you will have to tune in on Friday and Saturday as the other 3 HGC regions reach their conclusion, with South Korea in the morning, followed by Europe and America, starting at 6 p.m. Central European Time. But for now, KT. Their rise throughout this table, they have moved themselves from crucible position, rank number 7,
that's correct,
all the way up to rank number 5. They are now 3 best of 5s away from going to BlizzCon.
And who would have thought that these young gentlemen would sit where they're currently sitting? I mean, it's just cool to see their growth as a team. Individual players are stepping it so much up here. We could see Timeless just basically playing the best games of his life yesterday. Whether you put him on the Diablo, the Johanna, the Garrosh, most importantly, big playmakers all across the board. And it's actually surprising that he's not listed as the key player here, but still these overlays had been prepared in advance, of course. And Bad, we don't want to take anything away from him. He was lethal yesterday. He was a deadly Jaina in almost all the games that he played, and he's going to face a legend, an absolute star player of HGC China, a Lufel. But Techer, there is a little something we can say about that man.
Yeah, Lufel has swapped once again onto more... He's still playing some range when his team needs it, but he is playing a little bit more, a couple more melee roles now as well, filling in for some of the stuff you used to cover, which, in our opinion, works quite well for him. Lufel was always better on those highly mobile heroes.
Agree.
His Rhaegar, his Lucio, his Karazim back when he was a support, the Tracer, once he moved over to ranged assassin, was easily one of his best, along with the Genji. The second he got moved on to those slightly lower mobility heroes like the Reyna and the Phoenix is when he started to struggle. Moving back over to the melee seems to be working out for him okay.
Yeah, already he's had some really good results on Thrall, for example, on Maiev. Whenever, as you said, whenever they have those big playmakers in the field, the combo resets on Maiev, the engage timing, all these things need to be considered when playing these heroes, and Lufel is a great decision maker. When he's on heroes like Raynor, as you said, Hanzo, he can really bring all of his mechanical weight into a game, whereas heroes like, as we said, Genji, are absolutely legendary for him. So already we can see a little bit of a respect ban here, the Sergeant Hammer coming through for KT as well. Of course, they need to be aware of the fact that Sergeant Hammer switches things, and how you approach a game is a completely different style when Sergeant Hammer is deployed, whether it's for you or the enemy team. You have to draft around her so much. So taking her out of the equation is oftentimes something that both teams will gladly appreciate.
However, this has given Diablo or Deckard over to KT. We just saw how incredibly scary Timeless can be on those heroes. They're going to open up with Hanzo, though. That is a big deviation from how they've been drafting previously.
Absolutely. Yesterday, we've seen a lot of focus on Diablo when he was available. Sometimes even Alexstrasza, depending on the map, of course. Infernal Shrines, a really good example for that. Sky Temple is not really the best of Alexstrasza maps necessarily, so you can certainly forget about putting her into that first pick slot. But Hanzo, really interesting. I think you brought up a statistics yesterday, Tetra, saying that she was the most played hero of KT as a whole. And immediately, CE seems to have watched a lot of the games yesterday, especially by KT. They're trying to use KT's own weapons against them. Diablo locked in with a combo, Tyrande burst follow-up lockdown. Beautiful to see. The question is, the A team tried to do the same thing yesterday, but they couldn't execute it nearly as lethally as KT could.
Yeah, also to retract, Hanzo is their second most picked hero,
there we go.
right behind Yrel.
Okay,
and
there she is.
Garrosh. There he is. This is what you were talking about earlier, when the A-team tried to run Diablo versus KT, and the immediate reaction from Timeless was to bring out the Garrosh, and it got punished, the Diablo, that is. Timeless is so practiced with Diablo that he knows exactly how to play against it. But with now Deckard banned out, that is very sensible by CE. They already have the Tyrande. They were going for that burst combo. I was a little bit afraid when they gave that over to KT. But KT's high prioritization on basically everything except the support might be their undoing. But it's not so bad, actually, because Tyrande, despite being a great burst follow-up to Diablo, isn't actually as it's obviously not as anti-heal as Deckard. And all the healers that are left available for KT are mostly vulnerable to anti-heal. The Alexstrasza, for example, even the Karazim, as another, which is two of their more highly picked supports. So now with CE prioritizing the Tyrande and banning the Decade, that works out better for KT here.
And if you look at CE, though, that Decker Kane ban all of a sudden makes a lot of sense. You brought up the anti-healing. And how many times here in the Chinese playoffs have we seen one of those Emerald Cubes decide team fights, maybe even a game? And if you look, all of them. And if you see how many self-healing sources, and of course healing sources from Tyrande, CE has currently banked in, an Emerald Cube could have actually messed up so many of those heroes. Thrall, self-healing. Raynor has self-healing as well. Diablo relies heavily on his Firestomp healing. So they're probably going to have a much better game already. But look at that Kharazim coming in. Potential for a 7-sided strike. If Juyu on that Diablo ever goes in too deep, not only is he going to get flung back by Garrosh, but also potentially melted by Kharazim.
This draft of CE is really, really nice. It is a solid, sustaining draft with great burst follow-up for the Diablo Tyrande engage. Also, just thematically is cool because the only team to run Tyrande pre-nerfs in HGC China was CE. When Juyu attempted to mix it up and tried like a damaged Tyrande build.
Right.
Didn't work, fairly obviously, because it was old Tyrande. But seeing them bring that back is very cool to see. But KT's draft is by no means sleeper. It is pretty effective in terms of what it does, and that is isolations and explosions.
And honestly, I love the way KT has drafted according to what CE fielded into battle, right? We mentioned the Garrosh. So many times yesterday have we seen Timeless punish greedy Diablo plays. He can certainly do it again today, with Juyu maybe not being as experienced yet on the main tank role as other players in the league. And then you also have the Kharazim, as we said, such good anti-tank shredding if he decides to go for the 7-sided. And Irel, ever so solid, that rock in the ocean, you know, really withstands all that damage, all that pressure, and adds so much to the team. So I think both teams have their own strengths in their drafts. CE going for the more in-meta approach with Tyrande Diablo and a follow-up with Jimmy Thrall. Very dangerous, very lethal. But KT have found a very good way to react to it, and I think that's always been something that was in their strengths, right? Timeless and his boys, very adaptive, very good when it comes to countering stuff that the enemy team has.
And I do like, you already mentioned how we do like the Kharazim. I also just want to say that I really enjoy this over what we would have normally expected, which would be the Alexstrasza from KT, as they do put a hell of a lead on this. But against Diablo, like you said, it can just gain so much effectiveness. Even just the talent Quicksilver could be so tight at giving his teammates a chance to escape.
Yeah, and then, of course, you have other strengths that he delivers. Triple Cleanse, for example. It's going to be one hell of a show here, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for the two teams. On the left-hand side, we've got CE with a Luful, XTQ, 365, KTY, and Juyu.
And on the right, it is KT with TWTWT, Kiaru, Lotus, Timeless, and Bad.
And they are KT. They are the teams that have set up fireworks yesterday. But today, teams are going to be much stronger. Going to be much more punishing. They're going to capitalize on your own mistakes way harder. CE, a legendary team. They have been representing China at so many international tournaments. Not always to the greatest of success, but they have been consistent in a way that they have always been there. And already, they're trying to group up here as a 5-man unit, and they're trying to take down a top tower immediately.
Yes, they are, and they're trying to use the Raynor Exterminator, which is the level 1 talent coming in for XDQ, to just wreck these minion waves and set themselves up for this. This also gave Blaze a quick globe. He might, if he's lucky, actually be able to grab the globe from mid lane as well before he gets to bot lane. That's exactly what he's doing, a triple globe play coming in here. And that's going to allow him to get a great amount of stacking ready onto his new habits level 1.
Tyrande also switching things up here a little bit. 365 going for the Kaldarai Resistance instead of the Celestial Attunement, which was almost always the go-to talent. Look at KT. They found a Wild Thrall in the open. Luful in trouble, and I don't think he's going to be able to escape that because there's not even
one more heal.
One more heal, and that is going to be his last array.
Went for the wraparound play, landed the root, but he was still in.
Right. So, I mean, he bought his team a little bit of time, right, to get stuff on the map done. The bottom siege giant camp was taken by CE. It's not really the end of the world. Tyrande is already here to soak things up there as well in terms of experience, but it's still a nice catch. It's still a good kill for KT. And we mentioned this yesterday many times. They are a momentum-based team, you know, and already getting these early kills over teams like CE could really, you know, fire up their inspiration and motivation and boost their morale quite tremendously.
Absolutely, this could work so well for the Mizzou. I'm pretty sure that would have seen, due to the fact that there should have been a mercenary where his Firestomp did land and there wasn't, so he will know that it's being done. Blaze going down. Woo! First 2 kills of the game going over to KT. Their rotations being much more effective, which is really strange when you realize you're comparing it to a Diablo Tyrande comp.
You want to be in the driver's seat, don't you, Tetcher? When you have these lockdown tools, when you have these stun CC chains, you know, we've seen that actually applied very successfully and efficiently by KT yesterday. They were roaming around from lane to lane, setting kills up for Timeless and the rest of his crew. But CE already looking a little less threatening here. TWT needs to be careful, though. Took a little bit of damage to the face there. 2 temples are about to spawn, and no more mercenaries actually there to pressure Timeless with good body blocks as well, reinforced by Irel. Can they slow Lethal down? He escapes this time around.
Beautiful Lunar Flare save coming in from 365 with just clutch play here. But still, that's just so showing of how this game's going for CE so far. The pressure being applied by KT over and over again. They already have basically, a full level lead at 3 minutes. Finally, CE clear out the minion wave, which is what was preventing them having that big chunk of XP, and that will catch them up a fair amount. But they're being zoned so hard that it's taking them so, like, they're not losing XP. They're not missing lanes or anything like that. They're clearing so much slower because of the amount of pressure that's applied to them.
And not even that gank did work out for CE. I think they had Jaina at a really good position, but unfortunately Zuyu wasn't able to lock down the CC, the overpower here. They're now desperately trying to make a play happen here. Zhuyi, though, outnumbered at the moment. Raynor in a good position, though. Vision hidden a little bit in that bush, and they maintain control over that top temple. In the meantime, though, you could see how KT was rotating over to the middle already, and they're only getting more tower experience. Look at how they're switching things up here in between those temples. However, CE, of course, will get the same done in the top lane, so tower XP left and right for both teams.
Zhu holds the position. Timeless quick toss doesn't stun Zhu, who immediately moves back onto the point. Soul Shield is active, but he's obviously not full on Soul, so he's not getting full value out of that yet. Quick heals, though. They turn it around. Another great groundbreaker, though. Yeah,
Irel, if you saw the health bars on the top lane on the minimap, she was barely escaping an onslaught by Blaze and Thrall. So big win there, actually, for KT. But here comes reinforcements. Blaze getting flung back to the base. Timeless escapes. Are you kidding me?
Everyone gets out, but the fact that, like you said, Timeless got out there was pretty miraculous. Great saves by his team. KTY escaping as well. Great gank, but Indomitable is a pretty good talent.
That it is. Shuts down all the crowd control against you, and when you are fighting a team like Tyrande, Diablo, Blaze, Thrall, there's an abundance of crowd control available for them, so that talent is certainly going to be a lifesaver in the future as well. During all of this, CE, with their focus so heavily on, getting kills, they weren't able to soak in the bottom at all. Guess what Hanzo did? He was able to get some experience in for his team as well, maintaining a small yet significant lead in terms of experience. And although that lead seems very little, seems very, insignificant, it can actually be tremendously important when it comes to getting that team fight at level 10 done. That little time window sometimes that you can use to really surprise your opponents out of the open and then just utilize all of your rogue abilities and snowball even more.
So now then, we do see the mercenaries being picked up by CE, making the most of that Exterminator of Raynor. Quick wipe on that. And KT, theirs are already dying, so this timing is going to work out a little bit better here for CE, certainly.
Yeah, CE definitely has a couple of tools slowly rolling in right now, like that completed Echo of the Elements, for example. Thrall now has double chain lightning, which is going to help himself sustain.
Oh, that's impressive.
Oh, there comes the Ancestral Wrath actually onto Garrosh, and this time, the fellow Orc can't escape.
Way too ambitious this time. Bad also dropping low. Lunar Flare and the Raynor shots come in. And CE evens up the kill count in less than a couple seconds. Yep. Finally able to punish Timeless for the aggressive play that he's been showing over the last day or so.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mistake there by Timeless, one of the few mistakes he's had so far in those playoffs. Because when there's mercenaries pushing, I don't think you want to go for the greedy play behind enemy lines near to the towers. You actually want to get rid of those mercenaries first, soak a little bit before level 10, and then maybe turn on the aggression. As it is, though, that bottom temple will get activated in 10 seconds. Timeless will be back, and level 10 will be online for his team as well. So nothing out of the ordinary, like nothing major, you know, not a crippling loss or anything, but still a loss nonetheless. Level 10 is here for KT, 7-sided as we saw, so no big surprises coming in here.
But what is Hanzo going to pick? He is actually holding his Dragon Arrow. There we go. I was about to say, would follow up really well on the Warlord's challenge. Yeah, there's not enough choke points to really gain access value on the Dragon Strike unless it's on the boss point. Like, this isn't like a Dragon Shire or something like that where you can really gain some good value there. So, yes, Dragon Arrow makes much more sense.
All right, we see a couple of additional healing tools there for Tyrande as well. Elun's Chosen at level 7. Basic attacks will heal the marked target. Then we have Shadowstalk, of course. We haven't seen a single Starfall game in China yet, so Shadowstalk seems to be the go-to choice in all of those games.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, you know, brings a lot of, you know, utility, nice healing all across the board, and with there not being Deck Arcade and anti-healing tools available, that is always going to give you full value.
CE quickly clear out the minion waves, keeping that pressure on off top lane, keep it protected. With Alufal playing nice and safe now. He's already been punished once today. He's trying to be careful. Not so lucky for Zhuyu. 7-sided. Bye. And the Sundering too late to save the day. But it is a soul revive coming in for Zhuyu.
And that is so huge. I mean, Diablo will be back. That's at least a little bit of a saving grace, right? However, getting rid of a full Souls Diablo makes future team fights so much more easy. You know, nice body block. There comes the healing from Tyrande. Blaze applying a little bit of burning oil there to mend his own wounds. So nice escape there. But yeah, killing Diablo just like that in the blink of an eye was basically something we talked about during the draft. The flip, the 7-sided. If those two tools work together like a charm, Diablo always needs to be on his tippy toes.
Yeah, they even dropped a Dragon Arrow this time just to be 100% sure they got him, and they absolutely did. But CE still going to play aggressive. They still actually have an XP lead here. They're able to grab control of that Merc camp, and that will be pushing the already exposed bot lane as they took down the fort earlier.
Kiaru, another player who's played really well yesterday, oftentimes considered to be a rather weak link, of course, but ever since yesterday, there is no such thing as a weak link anymore in KT. I think they've all stepped up their game tremendously, but it's especially cool to see Kiaru play super well, especially on that Irel, which allows him to play a little more aggressively than other heroes because she's just so darn tanky. The trap is set for KT. Can they make it snap, though? CE not face-checking blindly. Well done by them.
Boss Tornado just zones aloof a little bit, but he's still able to move in. Karazim also moves into that bush, risking the Tornado just to make sure he can see the boss wasn't being done, as the Tornado was still in vision. And Tyrande now with that Quickening Blessing, the almost always go-to talent, it seems, in China, although we have seen some people experimenting with the Harsh Moonlight a bit.
Exactly. The double O there at 13 and 16 is very frequently seen in other regions. Zhuyu taking so much damage yet again, but so is Timeless, and Alufal is tearing things up in the backline.
Lightning Breath, catching everyone right on the edge. Bad is low. TWT getting everyone out of there as they try to get Yarel. The Lunar Flare does not land. Kiaru on the run. The
KT refuses to die.
Does not land, and they finally take down Yarel.
Oh, that took a long time, and it also forced out all the cooldowns CE possibly had. But with Irel down, they're trying to get something done here. Boss is probably a little too ambitious. They realize, you know what? We don't have the strong boss damage like Hanzo, for example. They do have a Rainer, but still, they don't want to risk it. Rather go for the temple, rather play it safely. TWT scouting. That might be a dangerous neighborhood for him to choose.
See, holding the line, keeping everything safe. No need to worry, at least for the moment. Timeless will spot Zhuyu. Or Zhuyu will spot Timeless. Both, in fact, might be the case. Indomitable, just to be sure. Lunar Flare lands, though, but Zhuyu's already disengaged, so no overpower.
It's still a 4 versus 4 situation. Keep that in mind. Hanzo's on the top lane, busy occupying the temple, whereas Thrall, Alufal did the exact same thing in the bottom. But with the sheer dominance that CE has established right now, they're the ones controlling the map right now. They had a couple of really good team fights. They had a couple of really good kills as well. And Hanzo immediately drew back from that top temple. He realized, you know what? I do not want to get caught in that horseshoe area. KT, they're, for the first time, I feel like, in these playoffs, Tetcher, they're the ones actually getting pushed back.
Yeah, they seem to be a little bit on the back foot, not by much. It's still like just under a full level lead for CE, which is definitely a surmountable deficit, as level 16 is not here yet for CE especially, so it's even talent. Kiaru creeping around the area, but look at Thrall, Luful hiding in this bottom bush, Sundering from behind, completely eliminates the backline from the equation as Timeless is getting shredded here, drops the taunt to give his team a chance to escape, because it is an escape plan here coming in, because everyone is so low. Kiaru getting roasted. Here comes a Luful sprinting in with the lightning as Diablo gets the kill with the charge, looking for a second, but TWT escapes.
All right, another 2 kills on the chopping block for CE. What are they going to do now to capitalize on this victory? They're stealing the mercenary camp because it was so conveniently close. They're certainly going to try to use that momentum to maybe destroy the gate and another tower in the top lane. That's all good value. By the same token, though, they do not want to leave that bottom half of the map just unguarded. When there's a Hanzo around, when there is some sneaky boss steal momentum possible for KT. By the same token, they should also really not, be overly afraid. They do have the 16 advantage right now, so they could certainly try to get the boss themselves.
Yes, they could, and the question is, will they? They're moving into position, but Timeless is still around. He, once again, doesn't have 16. There's no Hanzo on the side of CE, but Raider's Exterminator certainly assists in that boss clear speed. But look at that. The boss tornado and the sheer presence of Timeless enough to dissuade them. They cheekily move in to keep it aggroed. Jada looks like she
to this?
Wrap around from the top. They're actually going to try this. They move on. The double unstoppable Timeless tanking through. Lightning Breath coming out. Down goes Hanzo in the backline as the Luful gets a beautiful flank. Kiaru is tanking through for a while. Bad gets eliminated on the backline. Luful is just murdering KT right now on that backline. Kiaru nearly gets the boss with a great knockback, but that is a 5-man team wipe.
And that it is. And it came probably at the worst possible time for KT. Yet again, it is questionable. Did they have to commit to this? They were in 16. They turned 16 during that team fight. Probably not even able to lock in all their talents. Look at that. Irel, Hanzo. They weren't able to get their talents in time. And then, of course, you had these wonderful lightning breaths by Zuyu all the time, hitting 3, 4, 5 members of KT, slowing things down for Jamie. So he delivered all that pepper that was needed. And the 5-man team wipe, as you said, could have some disastrous consequences for KT. CE, they're certainly going to try to go for the court.
Disastrous consequences. How about a game number 1 in favor of CE as they move on? Boss still healthy. Here's the last ditch effort. 7-sided. See ya, Diablo. But Luful is already causing damage to the core. The boss also doing great work. That Hyperion is being a little bit distracted by the keep as well, so there's a small chance they might be able to save this. The boss is going down. They've dissuaded CE here with Diablo still a little bit dead. Dragon Arrow, they're going to try and turn this round, but the Lunar Flare disengaged with the turnaround onto the Garrosh here, but the quick clutch heal from Garrosh's own W keeps him alive, but TWT is not so lucky. Now Kiaru is also going to get dropped here. The overly ambitious counter-engage, and guess who's on the way? It's Diablo. It's going to be a 5 versus 1 push.
Jump over the wall, even denied to Zuyu, but I guess he won't matter really too much. He won't really mind because the core is now wide open. I don't even know what killed Hanzo there. It was the minions or the boss or the mercenary still alive there. Hanzo dying to the PvE content in this game. Not really a good story to tell here. The core goes down, and CE, they've done what none of the other teams have been able to do up to this point. They take a 1-0 lead over KT.